Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing how I read. Backstory, true it is. Oh, that's so true. Like I had this viral tweet at one point when I finished the university. So I finished with a first class at 19 and I think it blew up on the internet. That time nobody knew me anyway. So I entered the university at age 14. That time I went to write JAMB. I remember vividly, and I was going to a public university, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're so young to go to the university! Oh my God, no! Your father shouldn't allow you to go to university." But my dad is like, "Please." Because when I was entering secondary school too, I was entering at 9. So my dad's like, "You can do it because it's display." And so I entered into the university, and then I finished the first class. Actually, I finished with 4.71. That's actually like a big deal in the public university in Nigeria, because you all know the ordeals of going to a public university in Nigeria. So I finished as best graduating student in the faculty, and that's really amazing. I'm never going to be sure if I was best graduating student in the school because we didn't do the convocation, because that's what I was actually going for, and now I'll never know. But basically, this is how I study, and I'm going to be sharing my few tips, advice with you on how that you can study better as well. The truth is, I used to tell myself, "Oh my God, I'm just studying for 4 years. Like, let me just put all of my energy into it and study." But then, like, that's such a lie, because you're always going to keep studying. Because now I'm doing masters, I'm probably going to do a PhD, and you're always going to keep studying. So, but the truth is, just know that, oh, it's 4 years. Like, not everybody's going to do masters, not everybody's going to do a PhD, but you know that it's 4 years, and I'm just going to study for these 4 years, and after I'm done. So it's best I just finish well. And it's not necessarily that you finish the first class, like that's no biggie, like a 2-1, but yeah, don't just finish with the third class, because it's so difficult to get a job in Nigeria. But let me just say this, that it doesn't even really matter. Like, book smart doesn't determine like life success or like life smartness or like who's going to be successful in life. It's just, it's just school, and then you can do anything you want to do after, because there's so many people who did not go to school and they're extremely successful. Please do not say Mark Zuckerberg, because he went to Harvard, and Harvard is not the same thing as going to a Kid State University that I went to. So if you're in Nigeria or lost in school, come on. But seriously, go to school. So the first tip that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is to study as much as possible. Study every day. The truth is, when I was in university, 100 level, I had all A's, like parallel, and that's when I know I studied the most. Even in second semester, I was really sick, but I was in dance classes, and so I was attending dance classes in the evening when it came to 200 level, and so I wasn't able to study every evening as much as I wanted, but I was studying. So what I did was to study at least a note per day, and just try as much as possible to read something before I go to bed. And so the next time I'm reading it, I already know it, and it's easier to remember, and that just helps me to recollect. One thing I basically do is that while I'm reading, I take plain sheets of paper and ensure that I jot as much as possible. So I jot the tips and not necessarily the whole notes, and I try to create questions as much as possible so that I can create flashcards on my plain sheets. So for example, I'm going to write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I'm like, on my flashcard, how many letters are in the alphabet? And they're like, 26. Put the answer, and I'm like, there, because you'll be so smart. Ensure that you try as much as possible to study as much as you want and as much as you should, because studying is very important. Another thing that I know is that friends matter. You definitely want to surround yourself with friends that are intellectually sound and are pushed forward right now. Like, shout out to Tracy, Nora, and Kelly, because we've been studying together, yo. And when I was in university too, I had like these really good friends, Faith, Samuel, and Debs. We're still friends, yeah, the squad. And so one thing I do is to ensure that I study as much as possible with friends, because when you study with friends who are pushing forward to, because the truth is, when people say, "Show me your friend and I'll show you why," it's actually true, because your friends have big influence on you, and they're not going to decide exactly who you're going to be, but they have a big influence to who you're going to actually be. So surround yourself with people who can actually push you forward to studying as much as possible. So friends really do matter. Another thing that I do really well is that I ensure that I teach people as much as possible, because when you teach other people, there's just this way that you retain it and then you remember. So even if I don't really know it so well, I just try to explain to another person. So when I explain to them, they can learn. And if people are like, oh, Elaine, on farms and when you're so smart, like if people are like, oh, you're just farms in those who are smart, who cares? Like farms, your farms. Like this life is about farms. I always see it like farms, people are already at the top. Like why not? Why shouldn't you farms? Like who do you want to be farms in? People are nowhere. No.
What?
No. No. Like if farming is the way to life, then why not farms? Like I'm going to farm, anybody wants to farms. Another thing I do is to ensure that I take breaks as possible. People don't know how to read for 5 hours straight. Like kudos to you. I don't even think I know how to read for 1 hour straight. I read for like 30 minutes. I go to check something. I go to play. I come back because I need my brain to. I need my brain to calm down. I also sleep in the middle. I sleep really well. But I sleep in the evening so that I can wake up in the night, and because in the night is much more silent and less disturbing, and so I can assimilate better in the night. Another thing I do is to eat. I try as much as possible to eat, even though everybody's like, I'm eating bread. But like, yeah, I've actually been surrounded with like friends who cook too, so that's like really good because normally when I'm alone during exams, I'll probably won't eat. Like I'll just go and buy food and all of that. Then, as much as possible, try to drop your phone. I'm not even going to lie. It's like one of the hardest things to do. Jesus! I'm always with my phone. I'm like, how many people are following me? How many people are liking my picture? And I'm like trying as much as possible to reduce my screen time because I think it takes time out of the other things that you should be doing. But yeah, try and drop your phone. I'm like, I'm just going to put my phone here and I'm not going to use it so that I can actually study because the phone is very distracting. Another thing I do is to use acronyms. I use acronyms a lot, especially when it's list. Like when we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I probably just put up an acronym, maybe their first letter, and be like, S. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like SSS, not SSS. So that's another thing that I do. I use acronyms as much as possible. Another thing I'm very particular about is a study space. I may not necessarily study on my bed every time. I'm not necessarily going to study on the table and chair every time. But I try as much as possible to study on my table and chair. And I'm probably going to pick my iPad and read with my iPad because it's easier to read that way. Or then I'm on my bed laying down and studying. Guys, as I'm shooting this video, Tracy has opened this door like 10 times and she's like, another thing I try to do is to read far and wide. When I was in the university, I had like a lot of textbooks. Like my room was actually like literally like a library, like I had so many books. But I try to also read from the internet as much as possible because when you read from the internet, you can actually learn more and find more scholars. And because when I'm also writing exams, I try to quote as many scholars as possible so the lecturer is like so I'm always trying to impress my lecturers because when I'm writing exams, I'm not writing just to show that I read. I'm writing to also impress the lecturer, to let him know that I'm an extremely good student. I hope that you have learned a thing or two from me and how I study. I feel like maybe I'll probably do another video to talk about like challenges of being a young person in school, but I feel like all of these things actually helped me to get a first class. Another thing that I really did not talk about is your dissertation, which is your final year project. It's like very important because it's 6 units and then you obviously want to have an A, so I put all of my energy. I think I was in Adeoluwa at that time. That's like, and then I traveled to Ibadan just to interview one person, because the person is like, no, you cannot interview me on the phone. You're now a Nigerian adult, so I'm like, just let me interview you on the phone. And he's like, no, you have to travel. And then I traveled all the way just to interview one person for my project. And so like, put so much energy in your dissertation as much as possible. Period. Thank you guys so much for watching. And just click subscribe. See you guys next time. But I'm here to coca. Be more back with me. But I'm here. You watch it.